Hey there. Man, it has been a while. At least 10 days, I think. Maybe more since I've done anything. So, today this is a, gaming adventure talk. Like, this is talking all about the gaming stuff today. Because, man, I've been sitting on this one for like a week and a half. And I've been like, I'll clip it together with some game footage so I can better highlight what I'm talking about. But then I realized I just always get distracted and don't do these things. So really, the car is one of the few places where I'm not trying to constantly multitask, which is why so many videos come from my car. I think eventually I'll probably take the audio from these and just put them over an overlay, but that'll require me to take a week off work and just edit a bunch of videos, which would be fun. I don't know how much my boss would approve of that, but I digress. So, invisibility is either people's favorite thing in a game, or it is literally the bane of their existence. And there really seems to be no in-between, depending on when you do it. So, in MOBAs, for example, it's either completely broken, or you're beating the person who's invisible, you're like, well, fuck this, why am I even invisible? And I think that's because, generally, if you have somebody who can be invisible, even when they're not totally invisible, just enough that they kind of get obscure, their vision of you seeing them is obscured, I think you have to have some kind of counterbalance. Because if you just had a fucking paladin or a warrior come out of stealth and hammer you to death immediately out of stealth, and you couldn't even hit him when he got out of stealth, that'd be a bit broken, obviously. So, there's that. But so they're always more wimpy characters that if you turn around and hit them, they're like, oh shit. So usually they have some kind of lockdown mechanism, because if they didn't have a lot of resilience and they didn't have some way of slowing you down or impeding your movement after they popped on you, you could basically just walk away and tell them to fuck off. So that would be the end of that, and that'd be, nobody'd want to play a stealth character, which a lot of people still, they don't want to play a stealth character because you have to sacrifice either so much damage, so much sustained damage, or you have to sacrifice, almost uncertainly every single time. Without fail, I've never seen an invisible character who didn't have some kind of huge vulnerability for their armor. It's always somebody wearing a cloth tunic or a leather tunic or something like that. But, So, in some games like League of Legends, they've gone with it where the first iteration was maybe characters who had complete invisibility for a brief duration of time. And, you'd use that, or maybe sometimes it was permanent. The problem with that was that, of course, people get pissed off, because when you can't see somebody coming at all, you have no distinction, your only real weapon you have is either if they have things in the game like a ward system where you can put something down to detect stealth characters coming through, or, if you randomly just blind fire something off at somebody. I mean, I guess my rule of thumb is if you're playing in a game with stealth characters, if you have low health, someone's probably coming for you. That's basically what stealth characters do, is if you're out in the middle of somewhere, and this is any game, whether it's an MMO style battleground or a MOBA, or if you're in a shooter where you can go invisible, if you're sitting at a quarter, half health somewhere, and you're not near the rest of your team, you can bet your ass if there's somebody invisible, they're probably sneaking up on you. So you should be making sure to either get yourself located near somebody who can assist you, or be prepared for a gank. That's just what you gotta expect. But, other companies have handled it differently. Eventually, they had to change things in League of Legends for their stealth characters to be, limited duration, or I thought it was kind of cool they did something a different way that I liked, which is if you move within a certain proximity, you can see the person who's invisible. So they are invisible all the way to the point of getting up to you, and then that short distance to get to you, you can see them. And I was like, that's kind of cool. That's not a way I've seen stealth handled before. So I had to give a tip of my hat to League of Legends for that. I don't play it anymore, but I think that was a cool way to handle stealth. StarCraft and Now Here's the Storm handle stealth in a way to where you see the characters kind of a blur of where they're at. And I think that's a pretty good way to balance it too, because that means that you can counteract it, not so much through inherent through mechanics that you have to follow, but you can at least obviously, there's gameplay mechanics, but not having a ward system or something that requires you to buy something with gold or some kind of gated thing you may not be able to have. You can use your own abilities or or just the fact that, hey, I see somebody kind of whooshy walking towards me and I got low health, I better leave, kind of thing. That's, so that's good. People still get upset about it. They're still frustrated because if you're not completely focused on your character, or maybe you got into a team fight, or there's a bunch of shit going on, or maybe you're not looking at your character at that precise second, and you don't see them on the map, obviously, because they're invisible, then yeah, they pop up and you're like, shit! And, that can suck. So that's a good way of doing it too. I think that's a pretty decent balance. I think they've done pretty well on that. I think they have to take away some of the burst on some of the characters a little bit, because you can just melt people who don't have any armor. And I mean, that's their goal, but you have to have some kind of counterplay, and I think they did a pretty good job at fixing it after a lot of complaints at Heroes, at least, for some of their characters. But now they need a little more sustained damage to help make up for that, because now people are like, haha, you've popped out of stealth, and they're like, shit, and they just get blown up because they didn't kill the person they were after. So I think if you play smart, stealth characters work in a lot of MOBAs, but I digress. Moving to the last part here, because this is just me thinking about stealth characters, is in World of Warcraft, you usually won't one-shot anybody coming out of stealth, which is, so they actually opted like some games, and in Overwatch as well, where the characters that can't go invisible are the two that can, I guess, or the one that can in Overwatch, and then, the couple that can in MMOs. Going full invisible is fine, because they probably won't kill you in the time it takes for them to come out, and you can retaliate, and that's fine. And I think that's the only way you can really have total invisibility, is if you make it so that the person coming at you from invisibility most likely on a level playing field won't kill you, before you can react. Because it's fun for me, the person who likes to play those characters. It's not as fun for the person, screaming at their keyboard and throwing it at the fucking monitor. So, there's that. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on stealth. I'd like to see a game where maybe there'd be a iteration of it where it was like leaving footprints in the ground or some kind of trail, so you could see the trail moving towards you, and it'd still be kind of one of those observant, like kind of be like a being observant kind of thing, but it would be maybe a little more noticeable. Like the footprints would kind of have a glow to them or something, kind of something to give an idea that they're coming for you, but anyways, that might be too annoying for the stealth people, but they'd be able to bounce around it a little better then. But either way, that's my thoughts on stealth. Nothing better than popping out of invisibility and smacking a few bitches around. But yeah, I've got more thoughts to come and more things to think about, and I'll be heading your way soon, because I'm tired of not making videos, and I'd rather make videos in my car or randomly at home than fiddle with the editing and at least get my ideas out in the open again. So anyways, see you guys later.